What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and learn about changes that Canadians would really like to see in Canada. Today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, what is something that 80% of Canadians want, but the government doesn't seem to care? My goodness. I mean, honestly, this is something that us Americans can really relate to and sympathize with Canadians on. It does feel like that there's things that aren't even politically divided or bipartisan. There's just some issues that everyone can agree on that need to be taken care of that could make the country better. And it seems like Canada has that exact same feeling about some things. But as an American, I don't actually know how Canadians really feel about life in Canada. So I thought it would be very interesting to check out some of the top comments here that Canadians have left answering this question. What is something that Canadians want to change in Canada that doesn't seem to be happening for some reason? Starting with, tax and all fees should be included in the list price so you actually know what you're going to pay for an item or service. Oh, wow. I have never thought about this. Is this something that Canadians are kind of annoyed by? Because I I have never heard any American complain about this ever, actually. That's kind of funny because it would be really convenient if the taxes and fees were just a part of the price. So you know from the get-go, just looking at the price, that that is the total amount you're going to pay. What a world that would be. That would be great. I have never thought about that before. For some reason, us Americans, we don't really care. I guess we're used to it. You just kind of, in your brain, kind of add on that extra cost to the price, and you know it's going to be a few dollars more or something, but that would be extremely convenient. Yes! They should change that, not just in Canada, actually, but here too. This is so fascinating. I wonder how many of these I'm going to agree on as like, yeah, they should change that here in America as well. But it's interesting hearing from Canadians' point of view on Canada. What else do we have here? Remove all interprovincial trade barriers. There's trade barriers between provinces? Really? Why? Between, like, provinces within the country of Canada seems counterintuitive in a way. Like, yeah, there's, like, tariffs and export and import costs when you're shipping things and trading things between countries, and that kind of makes sense. You're trying to make money off of other countries, but trying to, like, put up trade barriers within your country, between provinces, does sound counterintuitive in a way. But seriously, there should be zero restrictions regarding goods and services and licenses within Canada. Yeah, that makes sense to me. There's not many restrictions between states in the United States that I'm aware of, really. Nothing that I'm aware of enough that I am complaining about. Is this something that, like, actually Canadians think about, these barriers between trading between provinces? Yeah, just like from my American point of view, so take that for what you will, that does seem counterproductive. This should be the number one issue that Canadians should care about, but it's not hot button enough. Yeah, it's funny they say that because I also agree here in America, there's issues like healthcare, for instance, healthcare in America, that are really big problems, but they're never hot button issues. They're never talked about. Like, everyone is just content, like, or maybe not content, but just like, oh, whatever. That's the way it is, which maybe isn't the greatest attitude to have if you can promote change. This would literally add billions to the GDP per year. It would give customers more of a choice. It'd fight oligopolies and give Canadian companies a shot at expanding organically. I also think corporate lobbying and special interest groups meddling in politics is something that people want removed or limited. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. This is, oh my gosh. Here in the United States, donors and funding, special interest groups, and it's wild. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. This is another thing that's like just normal in America. I'm not exactly sure what it's like in Canada, but if you're running for a political office, you take on donors, you accept money from people and corporations, and they obviously expect some amount of loyalty or something for you to kind of pay them back in the future, or at least you're certainly likely to if they are funding your entire campaign, and it depends on them doing that. You're going to treat them in a special way. It's unavoidable. And that's strange, isn't it? For that to be like a normal part of politics? Is that normal in Canada too? But every single party has their major donor overlord. Their major donor overlords. Yes, very well put. So it'll never happen. Yeah, seriously, that does feel like something that should be illegal in a way. But somehow we're at a day and age where you like need tons of funding in order to make yourself known. Like you have to buy advertising and marketing and make appearances, and that does require money. And if you don't do that, you're probably not going to get elected here in the United States anyway. So that's kind of a problem. Then Newfoundland could sell its oil, electricity, and margarine to the rest of Canada. Does Newfoundland hoard all the oil, electricity, and margarine? Does this have to do with? Oh, this has to do with the trade barriers. Oh, you see? Oh, wow, I'm really glad I caught this comment. So literally, because of these interprovincial trade barriers, or I don't know if it's extra taxes or what, when you trade between provinces, like Newfoundland doesn't sell much of its oil or electricity or its margarine to other provinces because it doesn't want to pay extra fees, I'm guessing, which is terrible. How we want margarine, that Newfoundland margarine. Can't even get it. Licensing. There's no reason I should need a different license to practice engineering or nursing or financial planning or whatever in a different province. Whoa! Really? I mean, I'm trying to think in the United States. I don't know how that works in the United States. But if it's anything like this, that sounds so incredibly annoying. If you're a licensed nurse in Ontario and you move to British Columbia, you can't, like, practice as a nurse. You can't get a job as a nurse. You need a different nursing license, a British Columbia nursing license. I don't know if that is the same here in America between the states. It could be, but that is super annoying. That should not be the case, for sure. It reminds me, like recently, I was hearing about people from other countries, like having PhDs and doctor degrees, and when they come to America, like they have to get their doctorate degree all over again because it's no good here, and part of that just doesn't make much sense for some reason. And it kind of discourages people from moving around Canada and being able to work at their profession that they're an licensed expert in their home province anyway. Wow. Wow. This is really interesting. I like how specific this is getting, actually. Very specific examples about changes that Canadians would like to see in Canada. Super interesting. Let's keep going. Affordable housing. Wow! I've never felt so bonded to the Canadian people than today, because all of these complaints, or at least most of them, are things that Americans would complain about in America as well. Affordable housing. Well, this is just, I don't know. especially where we sit right now. I know there's a housing crisis in America, a housing crisis in Canada. People who are trying to buy a home right now are really out of luck. Interest rates are through the roof. Housing prices have skyrocketed. Businesses are coming in and buying all the homes that families would normally buy. And it's kind of a mess. I'm not sure. This is something that people were like hoping the markets would like figure out. Oh, the houses are gonna crash and it'll fix itself. But I don't know. Does the government need to step in and take control of regulating affordable housing? I don't know. I don't know. There are some things you want your government taking control over, and some things you don't. So that's certainly not not a question for me. I don't know. Man, a little over a third of Canadians own a house, and the silent majority don't want a house of cards of the housing market to fall. Yeah, a lot of people in the U.S. Who own a house have a good interest rate or a good mortgage locked in, so they don't want to sell their house. They're going to have to go buy a new one. They're going to have a huge interest rate, a huge monthly payment. So if people feel stuck in their homes, even if they want to move, they're probably not gonna for that reason. Anyway, oh my goodness. Antitrust action. I don't know what this means. 80% of Canadians do not know what this means. and this American right here. I don't know what antitrust action means. They want antitrust action to go away? Does someone explain this? They don't understand what that word means. They do understand that what price fixing and lack of competition are. So this is talking about monopolies. And most Canadians are unhappy. So antitrust is referring to like bad corporate actions like monopolies, oligopolies. Is that what we're talking about? I think that's what we're talking about. I mean, I'm kind of having to rely on random Canadians in these Reddit comments, but I'm willing to do that for the sake of this conversation right now. Yeah, seriously. I think this might be more of a problem in Canada. I don't feel like there's actually too many monopolies or oligopolies here in the United States. The first thing that comes to mind is like Amazon, but for some reason everyone loves Amazon. like no one cares that there's not a competitor to Amazon. We're just like, all right, that's fine. I think in Canada, the internet companies or phone companies are like, there's only 3 of them or something or less, and phone plan prices and internet prices in Canada are like insane. I remember learning about that a while ago. And that, if that were a thing here in America, I think we would be up in arms about it too, and wondering why this is legal. So I totally understand where Canadians are coming from there. We aren't nearly as bad as the US for this one. Okay. I can't wait for this. But that is a very low bar. Hey, what? I don't have to sit here and listen to this, but let's keep going. And we can do better. Taxes that aren't a chore. Yeah, what are Canadian taxes like? I have no idea. Taxes here in the United States are insane. I've seen actually some funny memes and some funny jokes on the internet about it. I saw something that was like, okay, so in America, the government knows exactly how much money you owe in taxes. Yes. But they're not going to tell us. Yes. And we have to calculate it with like a 40-page tax document and a calculator. We have to do that as non-professionals in taxes. Yes, we do. And if we get the taxes wrong, that's a crime. And we could owe a big fine or go to jail. That's right. But the government knows exactly how much we owe, but they won't tell us. Like you see what I'm saying? Like they could just Why can't they just tell us how much taxes we owe and then we pay it? Is that at all how it works in Canada? Because in America, it's a nightmare. Taxes that aren't a chore. Oh, look, CRA knows how much we owe. Why can't they just send us a bill? Exactly. Exactly. And then if you disagree, you can file like an exemption or a disagreement or something. For the majority of Canadians who have at most a couple T4s, what is a T4? That must have to do with employment. That must be like a W-2 in America. And a handful of credits, it does not need to be complicated. Yeah. It's funny they said the US is worse. It has to be. It's a nightmare. Thankfully, they've done some like online taxes you can do now. When you had to do it all on paper, no, just you had to take like a week of your life and fill out these papers. Oh, it's bringing back nightmares to me. Let's keep going. Healthcare we can count on. Really? I've heard such wonderful things about the Canadian healthcare system and Canadian healthcare. Let's open this up. Let's get some more detail here. Yeah, universal healthcare doesn't do much if there's no family doctors. 3 years on the waiting list. Wow. So I think this must depend on where you are in Canada, how populated an area you live in. Because you can actually spend years waiting for a family doctor. That sounds crazy. I've actually never heard of that in the United States. I guess it's possible, but my goodness, that's bad. But still, if we're comparing Canada to the United States, as I enjoy doing, maybe Canadians have some complaints about healthcare. But I think it pales in comparison to the complaints Americans have about our healthcare system. Not that I want to get into some kind of healthcare system contest here over who's the worst, but I think we'd win. I do. Common misconception that we have universal healthcare. We do not. What? What is this? We have more universal than Americans, but less than other European countries. Ah, okay. I've never heard it kind of explained like that. That'd be interesting. I might have to do like a whole video on that. I don't think I can learn everything about Canadian healthcare nuances right now, but so there is some complaints some Canadians have. I know these comments don't speak for all Canadians, obviously, but it's a nice little sample size to go off of. Let's take a look at a few more here. Ranked ballots, better political candidates. I've never related more. Better political candidates, proportional representation. Does Canada not have proportional representation? Like representatives from every province and territory? But it should be based on the population, right? That is how we do it in the United States. 3 major parties that are straight up unelectable. It's better than 2. It's better than 2 that we have here, though. Wow. Really interesting. I don't get to see Canadians really talk about politics very much. So this is an interesting insight. I'm old enough to remember when taxes were included in the price. Really? Wait. In Canada, taxes were part of the price in the past, and then it changed? Why did that change? Argument was made to remove it so you would know how much an item is and how much tax you pay. I think it happened at the end of the 80s or early 90s. No kidding. That recently? There's Canadians out there. You remember a time where you go to the store and the tax and fees were part of the price. All there. No kidding. I had no idea that was a thing. That sounds great, honestly. That sounds really nice, just knowing how much you owe. Kind of full circle here, coming back to that, but I think that's a good place to stop, actually. My goodness, this was fascinating. I'm really grateful to the Canadians who left some thoughts here about, kind of criticisms or at least things they would want to see changed in Canada really interesting hearing about that from Canadians. I enjoyed this, and I learned quite a bit from this, actually. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on things you would like to see changed in Canada as a Canadian. That'd be very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.